Hi there, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. It's Friday, which means another crypto interest rates and news update. Today is the 21st of May 2021, and apologies a little bit for my croaky voice. Hopefully we'll get through this. It's only going to be a relatively brief update today, and as always we start by taking a look at any new coins. The only ones were Doge and Shiba Inu. Now we mentioned these last week, but I didn't have the actual rates. As you can see, they're in line with most of their kind of smaller altcoins that they list on the platform, between 0.5 for a flexible rate without having to lock up any CRO, up to 3% for the maximum kind of CRO level, and a 3-month lockup. And then there's their kind of platinum tier or whatever, which gives you an extra 2% of CRO on top of that. So not great rates. Not sure that Doge or Shiba Inu is a coin that you'd necessarily want to hold for the long term anyway, so may not be that interest to a lot of people, but they're now listed on the app. And the only other changes here, Swissborg. So we talked last week a little bit about Swissborg, how their rates change on a daily basis. Now these are the latest rates on their site. And I posted a link to that website that tracks the changing kind of rates over time. And you'll notice here that the rates across the board basically have dropped over the last week. We're now down to 6% for Bitcoin. That's for premium users only, though, with 50,000 Swissborg locked up for a year, 3% on BTC for regular holders. So that's dropped substantially down from, I think it started at 9%, then it's something like that. And Ethereum, 7% for premium, 3.5% for regular users. I think there's far better places for Ethereum than Swissborg at the moment. And then the other rates, obviously you've got Swissborg's own token, even that's dropped down to 9% for premium, 4.5% for regular, and USDC. So 14.5%. If you're a premium user, it's still the best place for your USDC, but certainly not for regular users. Down lower than every other kind of provider on the system here, with the exception of Cryptocom, only 6% for no lockups, and the flexible kind of like lockup and no kind of coins held. So not great rates. Continues to see that little decline. I thought we might see a bit of a tail off in Bitcoin from that initial kind of rate, and it does seem to be happening. A little bit surprised to see Ethereum continue to drop down, because there's really good yields to be made on kind of Ethereum on DeFi at the moment. So a little bit disappointing with the rate drops on Swissborg. And then moving over to the tokens. Now obviously the big news this week is the massive kind of like drop in price of Bitcoin and other basically large and small altcoins on the kind of back of that midweek. So Bitcoin flashed below 40,000, below 30,000 for a time. Went down to I think a low of about 29,800, depending on the exchange you were, but certainly went below 30,000 on a lot of exchanges. Only a wick down into that kind of territory, and it recovered reasonably well since. It's back up to sort of about 40,000 now. So it's gained 10,000 back since those real massive sell-offs kind of midweek, and this was maybe kind of started by kind of the Elon Musk thing, and then I think, to be fair, a lot of people within Bitcoin maximalists have really kind of maybe got a little bit to answer for as well. I think their haranguing of kind of like Elon Musk, kind of like almost kind of like sort of goading him into kind of like making these kind of tweets, and he has clarified since then, and he responded just after his initial tweet about the energy usage of kind of Bitcoin, and then we had that sell off, and then people started kind of haranguing him, particularly about the Dogecoin stuff, and then I think it was Crypto Wow posted something like, imagine how mad they'll be when they realize Tesla sold all its Bitcoin, and he replied, I think he just said indeed. And then he had to kind of clarify that a few hours later to clarify that Tesla hadn't sold its Bitcoin. And then I think maybe yesterday or the day before, he posted a Tesla has diamond hands kind of emoji. But he's almost like kind of goaded into this. And he has a history of this. Remember back, was it a year ago or so, when there were those children trapped in the Thai caves, and he came out with like, I've invented this little miniature submarine that can get them out. And when he was kind of the idea of it was dismissed, he called the bloke a pedo, and then he had to kind of backtrack. And yeah, he's very easy to kind of go, and I don't think it's necessarily a great thing for people to endlessly kind of berate him on kind of Twitter. At the end of the day, one person's tweeting shouldn't be able to have a massive impact on kind of Bitcoin. And I think that was really just more the catalyst than the kind of cause, because the market had been looking a little bit soft for a while. We've had some fantastic kind of runs up to sort of 64,000 odd, but there wasn't as much kind of kind of buying pressure. And I think we were due a bit of a dip down. I didn't think it would for a moment go as low as it kind of did, but we seem to have recovered a little bit from that. So that's just sort of like a background to the prices on all these kind of tokens. And you can see actually over the last 7 days, a lot of these tokens have held up pretty well. Nexo's had an absolute nightmare. It's down 36%, but everything else, that had that dip along with Bitcoin here. You can see this dip midweek. Everything kind of dipped there, but certainly Celsius had a double dip, but then it's regained quite a lot of that kind of momentum. It's only ended up the week down 3.2% compared to 18 down for Bitcoin. Crypto.com down 14, Swissborg down 15, and as I said, Nexo down 36. But if you remove the 18, it would push Celsius certainly, but also Crypto.com and Swissborg into compared to Bitcoin some small upward momentum this kind of last week. So not necessarily as bad across the board as I think it could have been. And then moving on to some stories this week, I think the big one is Blockfight, and this has been kind of posted on Reddit, but it's actually made the mainstream news. This is on Yahoo Finance, but I've seen it on a lot of the newspaper websites here in the UK, as well as other kind of mainstream kind of press like Forbes and stuff like that. But basically they did a trading competition. I think we might have mentioned it in one of the videos a couple of months ago, and it came to the point where they were paying out these kind of bonuses for people that had traded certain amounts of kind of crypto on the Blockfight exchange, and they just messed up basically. Instead of sending them the bonuses in USDC, they sent them the bonuses in Bitcoin. So they sent one guy 701 Bitcoin. And then some people were able to withdraw it. Then they suddenly realised their error, and they've been desperately trying to claw it back. Now a lot of the transactions were reversed within the system, within the kind of app, within the website before people could download them. But a few people had downloaded them, and they were now sending out that kind of legal threats saying you have to give us this kind of money back. And then a sort of bit of a carrot and a stick. So trying to incentivize people, saying, look, we'll give you $500 of USDC or $1,000 of USDC as a kind of thank you. But if not, we're going to go the legal kind of route to try and kind of get it back. But they basically sent through a complete mess up millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of kind of Bitcoin to random people's accounts that had participated in this kind of trading kind of competition, and actually earned on the back of that a few hundred potentially USDC. So a little bit disappointed to obviously see this kind of happen. It'd be interesting to see what happens about them kind of getting it back. Could really impact them, I think, in a pretty large way if they don't manage to get it all back. And depending where the people are located, obviously they have KYC for everybody on their platform, but if they're in kind of country that doesn't have extradition to the kind of US and stuff like that, I can imagine some people maybe just kind of sitting on them and saying, just close the account, and just kind of ignore any kind of like legal letters that come their way. But interesting to see if anything kind of happens, whether they get it back and how much of it they actually kind of get back. But a bit disappointed that these kind of issues are still kind of occurring. Obviously they had that what they termed a marketing hack last year with a SIM swap of a remote user, a new remote user who's working for Blockfight was SIM swapped, and they lost what they said was marketing information, but then turned out to be marketing information that included balances of people's accounts and physical addresses and stuff like that. And I think they were quite rightly berated because they kind of tried to sweep it under the table a little bit as like this kind of like there's a bit of a marketing kind of issue. So really disappointed to see this kind of thing happen. It shouldn't really be possible, but as you can see here, 700 Bitcoin. I think it was over 700. I think it was 701 Bitcoin worth £21 million. This is the UK version of Yahoo Finance, but that would be whatever $30 million, something like that. But this is has been reported across the mainstream media and on the subreddit, particularly not just in Blockfight, but in the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin ones as well. There's lots of discussion, including some of the people that had actually received some of this and what they've been doing. So if you're interested in it, links below, obviously, as always. But try having a bit of a search through the relevant crypto subreddits for some more information. And then just a couple of more stories. Cryptocom announced that they were introducing sub-accounts on their exchange. So this is for both spot and futures trading. Just will allow people to maybe have different accounts for different sort of functionality and different kind of like parts of their portfolios. Maybe some that are more trading focused, some that are kind of like leverage trading focused, and others. So there is a video here on this page. As always, I'll put the links below, as I said before, but it shows you exactly how you kind of set it up. But if you are using the Crypto.com exchange, you can now set up sub accounts on that. And finally, another story related to the exchange as well. So this was announced, I think, a couple of days ago, but basically they've changed the fees and limits on their exchange. These are the new ones. There is a link on this page to the previous ones, and the new trading fees are substantially higher than the old ones. So really quite disappointing. In many cases, orders of magnitude kind of higher than what they were before. So a little bit disappointing if you're doing a lot of trading on Crypto.com's exchange, particularly sort of like a future trading and stuff like that. Could work out a bit more expensive going forward than it has done in the past. But that's it for this week. As I said, going to be a relatively short update. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. But obviously it's been a bit of a kind of crazy week. Massive dump off in the middle of the week. Quite stressful, I think, for everybody involved. Now, a lot of people who watch these kind of series are more interested in the earning interest side of things and stuff like that, but I do know that some of you do trade, and you do trade on leverage and stuff like that. I had one comment on Aladdin's product, actually the B2X product, which I've talked about in the past, who said he'd been liquidated, so he'd reached 80%, and they then liquidated his position. But people who have crypto-backed loans, I imagine across the board, I know Nexo in the past has been pretty poor at kind of liquidating kind of people's accounts, not giving them a chance to top things up. I had a 70% call on some of my Aladdin products, so they send out an email at 70%, requiring you to bring the loan to value back down to 50%. So I did that. I didn't have any kind of more issues. Didn't dip any lower, but I think basically if people ignored that 70%, just hoping that it wouldn't go to 80, were then maybe surprised and in some cases very disappointed that at 80%, a lot of these kind of providers will just liquidate your kind of positions, sell off the Bitcoin to kind of cover the positions, and deposit whatever's remaining in your account. So could have been a very expensive week for a lot of people. A lot of people that doing leverage kind of trading were liquidated. A lot of long positions on Bitcoin and Ethereum were liquidated on Bybit and Binance Futures and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a pretty stressful week, I think, probably across the board. But let's hope that was the bottom. Let's hope that kind of flash down to sub 30 was the kind of bottom. Let's hope we can have a little bit of consolidation maybe over the next kind of 2 or 3 weeks, and then get back to that kind of like rising price through hopefully the second half of the year and second half of the kind of bull run that we're currently in. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. As always, I hope you're keeping safe and well. Hopefully I'll see you on the next video. But until then, have a great day. Bye bye.